Hello, it's a pleasure to be here today. This session will explore how organizations can scale up AI deployments in the enterprise. The aim of the session is to provide some tangible insights and trends and a practical strategic framework that should be of use to everyone here. None of what I'm going to talk about today is academic or theoretical. This is all born out of work that I've done leading inside an FTSE 100 organization. I'll start with a little bit about me. Until recently, I was in a C-suite role in a division of Informa, which is the largest event company in the world. I was the Chief Product and Technology Officer in a £400 million division. And more laterally, I was the Chief AI Officer for the whole group. I was fortunate to be asked to set up and lead the group AI initiative, which was a wonderful experience. When I realized the enormous impact that data and AI are going to have on the world at large, I decided to step out of Informa to set up my own group of companies. For this session today, I'm not going to spend much time talking about the underlying technologies. I want you all to leave the session having a much better sense of what it takes to deploy and scale across AI across the enterprise. So AI adoption at its most simple level requires a measured approach, which is mostly common sense. Being ambitious, but starting with very small chunks with clear guardrails, requiring very little investment or risk. Banking some wins early is important, and being sensible about what problems you're trying to solve. I see many companies spending a lot of money on licenses for software or spending lots of money in consultancy without really having a clear idea of what they're hoping to achieve or how it maps back to their organizational strategy. Don't get caught up in the hype and the rush into making fast decisions about things just to get started. Be measured, be thoughtful, and be strategic, and focus on the problems that your business and your audience and your clients care about. And it is important to encourage everyone to experiment with AI tools, including yourselves and your leaders, putting simple guardrails in place first. The best ideas for AI from a tactical perspective, they're usually likely to come from inside the organization, and it's important to get people excited, energized and enthused, and have them understanding about what they can play with and how to get involved, essentially. AI for its own sake, it will be ineffectual. AI that supports an organization's goals and its strategy is far, far better and more likely to lead to success and return on investment. And AI, it's not a shortcut when it comes to shaping new products and services. You still need to put in the legwork in a customer-centric way to understand the market, understand customer needs, pain points, competition landscape, etc. And naturally, it's important to educate yourself, learn about the risks, learn about the opportunities, and there are many. And you don't need a huge team to make things happen. You do need a decent data to a point, and you need to have a group of people that understand how to do product development in a customer-centric way. And it's really important to have accountable leadership, someone that has an interest in AI and data and is commercially savvy. And that's not to say that a chief AI officer needs to be hired. You'll have all seen and be familiar with the Gartner hype cycle. This one is taken from a snapshot last year. And you can see that generative AI is at the top of the hype cycle, and you can see now I've put it like it's trending down. Hopefully we're getting to the end of the hype and the over promises and getting a bit more into reality about what can, certainly generative AI and more laterally agentic AI, what can they do? How can we leverage those properly to see some dramatic improvements inside organizations around productivity, but also for growth within companies, so ones that are more ambitious. And I believe that this year we'll have a lot more of a focus on acceleration, and the companies that do take a strategic view, hopefully they will, I'm expecting them to move much more towards the plateau of productivity more swiftly. I thought it was useful just to throw up a snapshot here around where lots of organizations are seeing an impact from. This is around generative AI rather than agentic AI. This is from a survey done from McKinsey from many companies across North America, and where they're seeing from the survey respondees the areas that are having the most impact around sales, marketing, customer operations, product and R&D, and this really neatly maps to what I've seen as areas where you can get a lot of bang for your buck and a real interest in adoption and clear use cases and clear and easy mapping back to business strategies in many organizations, irrespective of the vertical that they operate in. So what can AI help with? Now, when I talk about AI, I'm talking in the broad sense. There's machine learning, natural language processing, deep learning, generative AI, agentic AI. And the answer is that it can help with everything. It is truly awe-inspiring and astounding the amount of areas that really solid AI can help organizations when it's combined with an organization's data. At a personal level, I've been using it for pretty much everything that I work on, and I've been finding my efficiency level is probably increased by 20-25% a week, and I'm a founder of a company with 20 people. At a really kind of simplistic level here, I've thrown up some areas where different types of AI can help an organization with predictive engagement, hyper-personalization, designs, voice of the customer, providing sublime UX. And then internally in the back office, we'll say there's a huge amount of kind of efficiencies and just workflow optimization that can be done. And more so end to end now with the latter kind of like involvement of agentic AI, where you can join up different agents where they can cut across different parts of the workflow. This is really going to make a significant change across 2025, I believe, when lots more companies will get into experimentation and just trying them out and getting familiar with them, seeing what works, and then moving on to other things. But it is an area AI is certainly can help in most verticals, and there's just so many use cases, far too many to list here, because it's industry dependent on what's where are the priorities to focus on. I thought it's worth just talking about some of the common challenges that I'm seeing in moving from pilot to scale deployments inside enterprises, and this is cross-divisional, or sorry, cross-functional, we'll say, cross-vertical. Data readiness. Some organizations they don't recognize where they have good data, which data they actually have access to, they're allowed to access, where it's stored, and so on. And this can create problems, but that's not to say that data does not need to be perfect to get going. If you have reasonable data, you can absolutely make a start, but having an understanding of what the baseline is really, really helpful. It's when you become to scale, that's when having poor data becomes really problematic, but certainly not for the early days. Operational integration, that becomes much harder because it's got to fit into existing workflows, technology stacks, and then even just building out a technology stack for AI so it's fit for purpose at enterprise scale, particularly for global companies, it's much harder than when you're at prototyping and pilot stage. Change management, resistance from teams, and it's mostly because of lack of understanding or worries about integrity, data privacy, their jobs, etc. And a general lack of AI literacy can feed into concerns from teams. Not having ownership at the top can cause a real problem when there's a lack of clarity, lack of alignment, fragmentation, etc. And then I've seen sometimes when there's a lack of clear feedback loops inside an organization, it's difficult for AI teams to make improvements to what they're providing to teams if they haven't got clear feedback mechanisms to validate what's working and what's not working to make rapid improvements. And that can then lead to a bit of a virtuous circle of teams not recognizing the value that AI can provide. Cost and ROI uncertainty. When you begin to scale up, this requires significantly more investment depending on the size of the company than when you're at pilot stage. And if you haven't clearly mapped out where the return on investment comes from, it can become problematic. Model performers and drift. This is when it can become quite different in terms of you're dealing with tens of people versus tens of thousands of people, and really thinking about that and stress testing that and really kind of just predicting what needs to be changed and so on is super important. Security and compliance is an obvious one that the more that you scale up, it increases sometimes at an exponential level the exposure to risks around data privacy, bias and ethical concerns. Talent and expertise, again, another obvious one that in order to ensure that you can scale, again, if it's across thousands of people across many countries, you really need to think about not just the technical teams, but how you're going to have all the various stakeholders joined up. So this comes back to having a really thinking through what the clear operating model is going to be. So there's coherence, clarity, things are joined up, the dots are joined all the way, and there's consistent communication, and teams know what to expect. But doing so in an adaptive sense so that changes can be made as you learn, because nothing that you can put in place will remain the same for beyond a couple of months. Next, I'm going to talk about a strategic planning framework. I'm going to go to, it's a high level, and the idea being that this is usable and useful for organizations that they're either at the early stages of planning AI or they're already on a path to AI. And even though that the roadmap here is being shown as literally as a road, it's not linear. You tend to take multiple passes across this. So I'm just going to step through this briefly. From the outset, and even if you're already on an AI journey and this hasn't been done, it's really important to think about what the objectives are for AI as a whole, and then mapping those back to your business strategy and your business objectives, because it gives you a golden thread to ensure that you're going after the right things and they're aligned with your business strategy, which will hopefully be aligned to your customer needs. And making sure that it's also aligned with your vision and your mission, so everything is joined up and it becomes much easier to communicate and ensure that there's clarity and there isn't confusion across your organization of what you're doing and why you're doing it and how it all fits together. Having the data and technology team involved from the outset is helpful because they can provide lots of constructive inputs, but not only the data and technology teams, it's important to get entrepreneurial spirits to people who just want to get involved. Chances are there's already lots of shadow AI happening inside your organization, and just being really open and transparent and letting people talk about it and setting up the environment by having innovation task forces and things like that. It encourages experimentation, encourages people to share learnings and help them each figure out what's working and what's not working. Building a rich picture, that's really important. And what I mean by that is getting really specific about taking your top line objectives in terms of AI and figuring out what are you actually going to go after and why and how and who is it for. Have you thought about the technical considerations? Have you thought about the ethical considerations? Have you thought about the change management? Have you thought about validation with customers and the markets? And then you go even deeper than that and refining the use cases. Once you're clear about what the most important ones are, you start putting them into a scoring matrix, which is can be really simple, 10 variables or so, which are weighted, and it allows you to really rapidly prioritize what you're going to go after and why. And it can be a starting point, or it could be something that you're already continuing with. In parallel to all this, on number 4, defining the technology approach, this comes down simplistically to your data assets, and that's not only data that you own or you have access to, it's also data that you might want to syndicate or you might want to buy, or might be openly available elsewhere to provide more of a richness for some of the use cases. The architectural approach can be a combination of buy versus build, hybrid. There's lots of different ones. And again, anything that you do around the technology architecture, it's likely to change. So having adaptability built in from the outset is really important. So not locking into a complete ecosystem can be helpful as you learn. And then building a plan, starting small, but having a really big ambition. Change enablement, which links back to AI literacy, and figuring out what your deployment approach would be, which can be going from pilot, but making sure there's clear guardrails and betas, etc. with customers, so that you've got a clear blast radius and measurements, and there's an understanding of the risks before you start deploying anything out more broadly to customers. And then reviewing and preparing, which is around communication plans, making sure that legal, data privacy, compliance are continually on board, particularly as you scale up. Making sure you've got establishing success criteria from the outset. If you can't measure use cases, you shouldn't go after them until you can measure them. Otherwise, you don't really have a benefit. You don't have an understanding of what the benefits are. And then the last one, number 7, is simply about measurement, tracking, and this is what's super important, deciding what to scale and when things are ready to scale and being really careful about it. And if anybody would like more detail about what's behind this framework, be very happy to discuss and share offline. I thought it's worth talking a little bit about responsible AI. Just going to touch on it briefly. Some people have asked me what does that actually mean? And in organizations, this can often lead to a responsible AI board or a forum whereby the top line topics that they're looking at are the ethical AI implications, which are about fairness, transparency, and accountability inside an organization. And the composition of the groups involved in these type of things differs depending on the makeup and the strategy and the industry that an organization is in. Privacy and security, super important, obviously, and a lot of this is around education of the workforce, because quite often people don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. Bias mitigation. The algorithms for many of the hyperscalers, large language models, are based on American English, we'll say, and based on quite often English data, and therefore there's natural biases built into these in terms of where the data's come from and how the algorithms have been configured, and understanding what those looks like and any mitigations that an organization can put in place is really, really important. Human oversight is of critical importance. You can't let these things just go untested into the wild. It's really important to think clearly about where humans need to be in the loop, where they need to make decisions and how that's going to be done, and also about how risks will be managed and who owns the risks and which ones your company comfortable with and which ones need to be managed actively and which ones are of strategic concern and which ones more of a, we'll say, a short-term concern or long-term concern. So all these things, they all fall part into creating a responsible AI framework for an organization that can be shared and regularly discussed within an organization. And this is about ongoing management. It's not one and done. I'm going to talk a little bit about AI literacy and managing change. It's of such importance to bring people with you, and therefore thinking about AI literacy and managing change from the outset, or if we're in the middle of deployments now, I'd do more. Whatever you're doing, you probably need to do more. Again, it's not one and done. It requires lots of thoughtful consideration upfront about how do you take every single individual with you inside the company on a continuous basis. So that ends up being having AI as part of competency frameworks, having regular training, having regular show and tells, having a really clear open dialogue between managers and leaders. And it's really important that leaders are walking the walk all the way up to the executive and the board. If you have certain tools that you've allowed to be used inside your organization, your leaders should be seen to be using them and to understand how to use them. Otherwise it can ring a little bit hollow. And as I said earlier on, really important to encourage experimentation with having clear guardrails in place and making sure that everybody understands what the feedback loops are and how use cases can be put forward for consideration inside the company for deployment. When it comes to technology, this is just going to be really top level. I've talked before about your data assets, but again, your data doesn't have to be perfect. No organization has perfect data. Just understanding what the picture looks like is helpful for figuring out what use cases to go after and what areas you need to be concerned about. Choosing the right architecture pattern for your needs. If you have internal teams that can help with this, sometimes you want to tap into external expertise to go faster, essentially. And then the operating model is not only about the technology, but it's also about a level of kind of like orchestration between the teams, between the different functions, which could be marketing, operations, depending on the company and the industry that you're in. But figuring out how do you join that all up? How do you make sure that there's clear ways of working between the groups? And bear in mind, there won't only be one AI tool inside an organization. In large organizations, there will ultimately be tens, hundreds, if not thousands. And then finally, how are you going to govern this? Governing data and AI is super important, and being transparent is important in terms of transparency about everything it's been doing. Then it's really easy to go back and get a sense of why something didn't go quite right or have traceability all the way through. I thought it just worth finishing up on what I see as 2025 unfolding. I see 2025, and this is, I guess, a roast interview in my mind, being a year of acceleration in the enterprise, where AI adoption is going to have more of a clear line of sight for CEOs around what an attainable return on investment might be. I am expecting us to move from the hype and overpromises to more of a pragmatic approach to integration and just getting on with it. And I'm expecting companies that are already kind of either working with AI or thinking about AI to take more of a step back in regards to thinking about what capabilities they really need, be more strategic and thoughtful about this, and getting a clear sense of priorities mapped back to their business strategies. And then the operationalization of AI, I expect there's going to be a lot more leaning into the existing workforces around AI literacy programs to upskill, educate, and inform with a stronger emphasis on change management. And then slightly linked that is around the introduction of responsible AI and governance frameworks. I think we're going to see a lot more of that across industry globally. Agentic AI is going to have a big focus, I believe, for many companies across the world. They'll be jumping in, they already are, to experiment with the view to driving higher impact results. In order to achieve this requires a lot of thinking around redesigning workflows from entirely. Thinking about where do you need people, where can you have agents, how does it all fit together, and what are the areas to go after first. Generally, it's pretty fast to set up agents. It's about thinking about what they're going to look like, how to design them, and then rigorous testing constantly. Small language models, I believe, are going to be a hot topic. I think a lot of companies are going to start creating their own large small language models, or there's going to be some available to buy. And using those with large language models will become a lot more powerful organizations, again, to see some return investment. I think we're going to see less of a scattergun approach. I'm expecting us to see a lot more high impact use cases that are clearly measurable. And I'm also anticipating where we'll see a little bit of a strategic divide where enterprises aligning AI with their own business goals and their strategies and investing in their own workforce in upskilling will lead the pack. Whereas those treating AI as an add-on, where it's just really focusing on the technology, they may struggle to realize meaningful ROI and just be not seeing what they'd like to see despite investing sums of money into it. But ultimately, I'm expecting that success is going to hinge on balancing innovation and pragmatism versus cost and ROI. And then embedding AI into workflows is going to drive real, meaningful, measurable business value, which comes back to where I think agentic AI is going to make a really, really significant difference during 2025. And lots of events I've been to, ones I'm sure you've been to, there's been a lot of talk about workforce of the future. I think this is going to start to mean something really tangibly during 2025, but really with a view to 2026 and beyond. Whereas until now, I feel it's just been a little bit vague. I expect that 2025 things are going to get much more concrete. I hope that's all been really helpful. And if anybody would like to look me up, they can find me, and I will look forward to any questions that you have in a moment. Thanks all.
That was a presentation of Dr. Mark. Delegates, do you have any queries regarding his presentation? And I'd like to share his email ID in the chat box. You can reach him. And I'd like to go for the next speaker. Dr. Ken Vinjai, he's from the China, and I want to give his presentation on the title, Exploring the Potential of Bio-Inspired Algorithms in Biofabrical Building Design towards the adequate, effective, and the low carbon construction. Absence of his I like to share his video in the
Good morning, everyone. Today I will talk about my research about the by the osmogram in my building design project. My name is Gang Weicai. I came from Tongji University. Now I will share my screen. Thank you. And my topic title is exploring the potential of bio-inspired S-gram in prefabricated building design towards adaptive, efficient, and low-carbon construction. And I will talk about my real design project about under this design concept. It is a BNB project. For I start the topic, I just tell why I choose this methods or change the traditional design method to AI-based methods. There are several reasons. I think the main reason is that we must change our previous design concept or mind to be a new one which generated by the AI. So I search 100 architecture projects that are very famous and got a lot of awards. So we can find that all the projects will belong some mathematic set sequences or mathematic form or mathematic other types. So I choose one of the methods is that bio-inspired algorithm. I think it is a powerful approach to optimization, and it will be give a big opportunity to the architecture design. So in the bio-inspired algorithms, there were a lot of methods. So we can use for different projects or different purpose. And today I will introduce the Walker algorithm for my project. And this method first used in the architecture major is that from the Free Auto, an architecture. And what is the wall S-gram? It can be decided individually into two ways, 2D and 3D. It means that if you want to choose or want to explain why you put the room, the building room here and not there, you can use these methods to find the best pathway or the closed pathway to let you decide a direction or a concept, and then you can update the 2D to 3D, and you can build the whole building. And this is our project site, and it is stronger with a very good environment, and you can say from the higher view or border view, we can see rivers, forests, smaller countryside buildings in around the sites. So this building was built in the traditional materials. We can call it a type of earth, and it was older than maybe 70 years old. So we hope to rebuild or reconstruct about this building. So we use wall S-gram to optimization or to find that the best way how we can put the new building room or new part in the site. So this is the plan. The red line is that out of the building we can pass from this way. So and the green line is that we can work from for example, from building A to building B or to building C. This is a 2D and this is a 3D. We can find that how we can go to the second floor from the building A first floor to the building B second floor, or to the building C third floor. So we can use this method to give us some advice, and we can see it will be generated several pathways. So we can choose, we can select in a different way, because in our previous design we this is only based on one person's purpose or one group purpose. It is not a scientific way. So this is different view about this building project. We can see the red line across different building A, B, C, D to different floors. The first, the third, the second, and so on. So this is architecture plan mappers just way. So and this is project. Before we start, we remove the small house or small buildings around the main building, so we can rebuild. And this is a base, and we can. This is materials that produced in the factory. We use light steel to construct and to maintain its stronger to against the earthquake, to against other dangers. So this is a cost, and beyond all, I think it is, and now it is very expensive than other conventional construction in China. So this may be another issue, that we use the prefabricated light steel materials construction, B&B or a building in China countryside. So on the other way, we also study about the planning, the site planning for the residential site. This is one experiment case. You can everyone we can see different points. That means that different function or different buildings or different that point that people need to go. So we use the wall-o-gram to connect each point, so we can go to a site with a net, with a one net, and after that we can choose how we can which door we can open in one building in this site. So we use the same method to show this program again, and so we can got the different door or different windows that for example, if this direction has a good view, we can open the window on this building face, and if this line means that a lot of people across, so we can open a door. So we can use it generated the building flow or the site flow, site plan. So we can generate a different types of the site or over the buildings in the residential areas, just like this. And at last, I think the AI driving architecture design future based on one technology is that 3D printing, and this 3D printing is assisted by the robot. So I hope we can focus more about the AI driving robotic 3D printing for the future building industrialization. That means maybe more of the industrialization is focused on the prefabricated buildings. So thank you for everyone's patience, and thank you again.
That was the presentation of Ganwin Professor. Delius, do you have any queries regarding his presentation? I'd like to share his email ID in the chat box. You can reach him. Okay, Delius, I'd like to move for the other section of other speaker. Professor Ching Lan Fang, he's from the Taiwan Republic of China Military Academy. He want to give his presentation on the title UAV-based imagination and the deep learning evaluation of YOLOV3 and YOLOVA for the battle nut cope detection. I like to share his video. Because of his busy schedule, he has shared his video.
Mr. Chairman, fellow delegates, friends. My name is Ching Lan Fang. I am an associate professor from Republic of China Military Academy, Taiwan. Thank you for the privilege of presenting this paper. Today, the topic I want to present is UAV, based imaging and deep learning, evaluating YOLO 3 and YOLO 8 for beetle nut crop detection. Outline. 1. Introduction. 2. Research method. 3. Results and analysis. 4. Conclusion. Introduction. UAVs provide high-resolution imagery that greatly benefits agriculture by supporting crop planning, health assessment, and management. Small UAVs offer an affordable solution for farmers, delivering centimeter-level spatial resolution and consistent data collection, even under challenging weather conditions. This capability enables frequent, accurate monitoring, aiding in the early detection of diseases and pests and improving crop management. Deep learning, particularly with convolutional neural networks, has proven highly effective for analyzing UAV captured images. It enables precise classification of crops and conditions, with studies showing significant success in using UAV imagery for agricultural tasks. In Taiwan, beetle nuts, a key economic crop, benefit from UAV imagery and deep learning integration. This approach provides detailed insights into crop health and development, enhances the detection of growth stages, and distinguishes between crop types, even in mixed cultivation. Combining UAV technology with deep learning offers a powerful tool for precision agriculture. It improves crop monitoring, management, and sustainability while paving the way for more efficient agricultural practices. The UAV was used for its lightweight, extended endurance, and high safety features. Its 20-megapixel camera had an 8mm focal length and captured RGB images at a 130-meter altitude, flying at 10 kilometers per hour, with a 2-second interval between shots, achieving 80% forward and 75% side overlap. A total of 255 images were collected with a resolution of 5,470, 2 by 3,648 pixels and a spatial resolution of 0.3 meters. These images were processed using structure from motion (SFM) technology to create a seamless, high-resolution orthomosaic, enabling detailed beetle nut crop characteristics analysis. This approach highlights the advantages of UAVs and advanced image processing in agricultural monitoring and management. Research method. Figure 2 illustrates the steps for detecting areca nut crops using UAV imagery in this study. Image preparation. This step involves capturing ultra-high-resolution images of the study area using UAVs, including configuring the UAV flight speed, path, and altitude, as well as adjusting camera tilt and correcting lens distortion. The captured UAV images are then processed through orthorectification and mosaicing. Model training and validation. The image data is divided into training and validation sets to prevent model overfitting. Subsequently, YOLO version 3 and YOLO version 8 are used to detect areca nuts in the orthorectified images. Model testing and evaluation. The performance of the two algorithms in detecting areca nuts is compared, and the detection models are evaluated based on various performance metrics. YOLO was introduced as a real-time, single-stage object detection method, bypassing the region proposal stage and directly predicting object bounding boxes and categories. YOLO 2 improved YOLO by adding anchor boxes and using k-means to determine box scales. YOLO 3 further enhanced detection by using feature pyramid networks, improving performance, particularly for small objects. YOLO 8, the latest version, balances accuracy and speed for real-time detection. It features a refined architecture with improvements like the C2F structure in the backbone, spatial pyramid pooling fusion for better feature merging, and an FPN pen structure for enhanced localization. YOLO 8 also uses a decoupled head for classification and detection and an anchor-free approach for faster detection. During the training process, the distribution of the training and validation loss curves tends to be consistent. This consistency indicates that the models do not overfeed the training data. Overfitting occurs when a model performs well on training data but fails to generalize to new, unseen data. The absence of overfitting in this case demonstrates that both YOLO 3 and YOLO 8 have maintained a balance between learning the intricate details of the training data and retaining the ability to generalize to new examples. Moreover, the loss values for both models have reached considerably low levels by the end of the training process. Low loss values indicate that the predictions made by the models are close to the actual ground truth values, reflecting high accuracy in object detection tasks. Effective convergence and low final loss values are essential to ensure the models can reliably detect and localize objects in UAV images. Results and analysis. To optimize a deep learning model for object detection in UAV images, a loss function is employed to evaluate the disparity between the predicted results and ground truth values. This facilitates effective learning and continuous improvement. The YOLO version 3 and YOLO version 8 models demonstrated convergence at approximately 400 and 300 epochs, respectively. During this process, the training and validation losses decreased to similar final values, indicating effective generalization. The consistent loss curves suggest an absence of overfitting, ensuring the model's ability to generalize well to unseen data. Moreover, the low final loss values highlight the model's high accuracy in object detection and their reliable performance in processing UAV imagery. Figure 3 indicates that both YOLO 3 and YOLO 8 perform well in crop detection. Notably, YOLO 8 exhibits proficiency in detecting smaller beetle nut crops, surpassing the performance of YOLO 3. The rigorous evaluation metrics applied in this study provide a comprehensive assessment of the model's performance, highlighting YOLO 8's superior accuracy and efficiency in detecting beetle nut crops from UAV imagery. This underscores the potential of advanced deep learning techniques in enhancing precision agriculture practices by enabling more accurate and timely detection of crop conditions. Figure 4 presents a detailed analysis of the detection performance of two deep learning techniques for areca nut crops, focusing on the metrics of true positives, false positives, and false negatives. In this comparative evaluation, YOLO version 8 exhibited superior detection capabilities, achieving the highest true positive count with 191 correctly identified instances of areca nuts. This result underscores YOLO version 8's effectiveness in accurately recognizing and classifying areca nuts within the provided imagery. Conclusion. This study investigates the feasibility of leveraging UAV imagery combined with advanced deep learning techniques to detect beetle nut crops automatically. Unlike traditional remote sensing platforms such as satellites and aircraft, which offer broad-scale data collection. UAVs provide distinct advantages due to their ultra-high spatial resolution and real-time operational capabilities. These advantages make UAVs valuable for detailed agricultural surveys and ongoing crop monitoring. Integrating UAV technology with deep learning enables real-time crop growth and health monitoring. This capability facilitates the collection of high-resolution data that can be used to track changes in crop conditions over time, providing valuable insights for agricultural management. The study demonstrates how real-time data can support more precise agricultural decision-making and management practices by employing these advanced technologies. Real-time detection of beetle nut crops using UAV imagery and deep learning techniques. Enhancing agricultural monitoring with UAV technology and deep learning for precise crop detection. Thank you for listening to my presentation.